Democrats at this point are historically divided. It is a complete and utter mess. It is messier than a hoarder's basement. What are we talking about here? The national early poll leader, 25% plus. Normally, that's where Democrats are. Biden was at 25% plus in 2020. Hillary Clinton was in 08 and 16. Gore was in 00 and 04. At this particular point, there is no one in the Democratic race for president who's polling at 25% plus. The water is quite warm. If you're a Democrat potentially thinking about running in 2028, jump right in, because at this point, there is no front runner.
What do you think? Is that because how people view the Democratic Party right now, is that contributing to this?
Yeah, I think that is in large part of what's going on, is one of the reasons why there is no front runner. Nobody wants to put anybody up at the top of their ballot list, is because at this particular point, the Democratic brand is in the basement. It is total and complete garbage in the mind of the American public. The Democratic Party's net favorable rating, record lows in all three. Wall Street Journal, 30 points underwater. CNN, 26 points underwater. Gallup, 26 points underwater. And that is being driven in large part by discontent within the Democratic base. The Democratic base wants something different. We'll ultimately end up seeing who they choose. It'll be quite the thing who ultimately gets the rose.
Yes, sir.
I think what they're doing is they're cheating. They're cheating. They want to change the current system to make it bend toward the outcome they want. And so, if you believe the public reporting, they get a call that says, hey, redo your lines, even though the fallout is going to include exactly what you said, which is, taking the franchise, the vote, away from specific communities. And in the case of Texas, Latino and black voters.
Yeah.
And diluting their votes. And this is not a census year.
Yeah.
But this is a year with the big, beautiful bill and the unpopularity of it. And so they want to bend the rules. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that, those Texan legislators, good for them. Here's how I think about it. I think you're right in terms of the effect.
Kamala is completely gone, sauced. I mean, don't get me wrong, I got a little bit in my cup here, but I'm not slurring my words, at least not yet. And hear me out, folks. The Democrats, a loser such as Kamala Harris, sitting there and telling you what is unpopular is almost, it's like, think about it. These are the same ones. She's the same one attempting to tell America that President Trump was unpopular, that, their internal polling was showing that she was winning by a landslide despite having won any election herself without having won any primary. And so, as she's complaining about this big, beautiful bill, or at least trying to throw that keyword out there to get heads to turn or algorithms to trigger, maybe she's not even fully aware of what she's talking about because she is completely inebriated. Who was actually against the big, beautiful bill? Like, who was the most vocal? Do you remember who that was? You may not. Because we haven't heard much out of him about it since, have we? Yeah. They fell for the trap yet again.
Sometimes doctors will sell you stuff you don't need. In one case, I went to this doctor who was highly recommended. I got blood work done. Tells me that I'm B12 deficient. It says you have to take these B12 supplements, $1,000 a month for these special B12. Ridiculous amount of money, yeah. So then I get home, I'm paging through my blood work, and it says I have excess B12. And he's giving me pills that have 20,000% of recommended daily dose.
Yeah, and speaking of doctors, I got my diagnosis today, and I don't think it's good. I got my diagnosis, and I got a boatload of pills, creams, ointments, and oral suppositories. Yeah, it's for my, apparently this is skin infection. Local infection of the skin and subcutaneous tissue. Infection from a bug bite, initial encounter, infected insect bite of left lower extremity, bitten or stung by non-venomous insect and other non-venomous arthropods, initial encounter, which led to staph and something else. It led to, oh, there it is, cellulitis. Cellulitis, yeah. That's my life, folks. And I even avoided, or at least I avoided getting into the ocean because I did a video one day and I was talking about that. And I was like, I'm not going to get in the water because I don't want to. At the time, they were talking about this flesh-eating bacteria in the Gulf of America. Today, moving, we're actually closer. This is a new sign. They just passed a new law that allows greater access of the beach. And it's probably, I would guess, 90 degrees, but it's not like terrible. I'm wearing my UV shirt and maybe you guys can see my shorts. I'm not dressed to get in the water because I'm not getting in the water. And it's because I was bitten. Again, I'm assuming you guys can see that. I was bitten and I think it was a yellow fly or deer fly or something. I'm not really sure, but I was bitten and it's still healing. And this has been going on for like weeks now. Well, with that being said, I'm not going to risk my own safety of getting in the water with an open wound, especially considering the stories, the news that I've been hearing here recently lately about some bacteria in the water. I would prefer to keep my legs. So there's that. And so I was like, all right, I'll stay out of the water. And I don't think I got in. Michelle thinks I got in. She says one day I got in, but we're gonna take these meds and see where we end up. And it was interesting because we went to the doctor and we told him we didn't have insurance and it was $150 for them to see us. We went to Walgreens to get a prescription filled and we told them we didn't have insurance and she was like, well, I put you on the GoodRx and we got the cost down substantially. It seems like it's actually cheaper if you don't have insurance, or at least for us. Granted, we're not over the age of 65 where we essentially have to, legally by law, have Medicare or else face severe penalties, lifelong penalties. So if you fall into that category, make sure you're not overpaying and give our friends over at Chapter a call. And if you are interested in saving money specifically on your Medicare, then make sure you give our friends at Chapter a call. And I want you guys to really, really pay attention here because it's come to my attention that most seniors are not on the best Medicare plan. They're either overpaying for the same coverage they could get elsewhere, or they don't have the coverage they need in an emergency. Chapter can review your options in under 20 minutes. It's fast, it's simple, it's easy, and it's free. If you're already on the best possible plan, they'll tell you they're unbiased and they're purely here to help folks, seniors, save money on healthcare, on average $1,100. And if you're not on the right plan, they'll help you switch, even if it's to a plan that pays them nothing. Again, unbiased, folks. This is unique and unlike any other Medicare provider out there. And this is exactly why we love Chapter so much, because they're literally just trying to help people. Chapter works for you, not big insurance or the government. And there's no pressure, just honest, free advice from professionals who know Medicare inside and out.
Trying to make a point that they fired Stephen Colbert, which many on the left called an attack on democracy, a man who was making $20 million a year, someone I hold in high esteem, but the economics of his show were not working.
Guys, I'm off the grid for August, but apparently Kamala Harris isn't off the sauce.
Yesterday, you made an announcement that you're not running for the governor of California.
Correct. Yeah.
You said you're going to sit this one out. Why are you sitting this one out? Are you saving yourself for a different office that might be?
No.
obviously people project onto
No,
their
I
hopes and
understand.
dreams.
And honestly, that it's more perhaps basic than that. Listen, I am a devout public servant. I have spent my entire career in service of the people. But to be very candid with you, I had to defend my decision to become a prosecutor with my family. Why is it then when we think we want to improve a system or change it, that we're always on the outside on bended knee or trying to break down the door? Shouldn't we also be inside the system? And that has been my career. Recently, I made the decision that for now, I don't want to go back in the system. I think it's broken.
This interview felt like a microcosm of everything that's wrong with Democrats post-election. Going to CBS and this sort of trying to make a point that they fired Stephen Colbert, which many on the left called an attack on democracy, a man who was making $20 million a year, someone I hold in high esteem, but the economics of his show were not working. He was losing $40 million a year. He was in the Ed Sullivan Theater, which is expensive. To talk about the plight of democracy at CBS, a network that's having its own struggles right now, rather than talking about the economics of the situation and playing to something, a shrinking audience that is network television, not realizing it's not where the American voters are. It felt like if everyone who was advising her told her this was a good idea, that is not where I would have made the grand comeback. It's like announcing your exploratory committee on the sinking deck of the Titanic.